Hey, I made this video for the Guild of Professional Sharpeners, but I wanted to put it out on YouTube as well. I had a hatchet come across my bench and the head of the hatchet was coming off the handle. So I went through the process of how I actually removed the head from the handle, cleaned it up, and then rehung it. And that's what you'll find in the video that follows. If you'd like to learn more, I also compiled some information in the post that I put in the Guild, and I'm making that available in a PDF for you, and I will include the link to that in the description of this video. So I hope you find this helpful. Hey guys, when this hatchet came in, the head was just about off of the handle. They didn't ask me to put it back on or anything, but I felt like I couldn't send it back without doing it. So in this video, I was just going to take pictures of the job of like getting. I actually ended up taking the head off and then cleaning up the handle and then reseating it and putting a new wedge in the top. And of course, I sharpened it, but. So I was just going to take pictures of the job, but then I realized that some of it is better explained with video. So this is going to be a combination of voiceover, some pictures and video, and I hope you find it useful. This is looking down on it, how it came in. You can tell it's all, I actually seated the head back down on the handle to get a better look at it. But the wedge is all destroyed. I actually had pulled a finish nail out of this before I did any more work to it, but I decided that I would start pulling all that stuff out and just start anew by getting the head off of the handle. These are the tools I use. Sometimes this is hard to get all that stuff out, but between the screwdriver and that pick, I was able to pull everything out and then relatively easily take the head off. I've done quite a few of these now, and I will say that this one came off really easy. Sometimes getting the head off of a handle can be a real bear, and I have a few tricks for that, which I'll share in a bit. All right, what I want to share in this picture is to see how there's a really distinct ledge where the head of the hatchet kind of like caused the wood to flare out. And what we really need is a better transition. So what I have to do is remove that lip and make it smooth again. And I'm going to use a spoke shave and a chisel to clean that up. And we need to do that before we set the head on, or there's just no way the head will go down any further than that lip, and it won't get tight. So to do that, I mounted the handle and the bench vise here, and just use a spoke shave to start pulling off some of that material to clean it up. Got to do both sides, work my way around it. And what's nice, like you could use a sander to do this, right? But you know, in my shop, I don't really want the dust, the wood dust. So the spoke shave's a little bit better, and the chisel, and it cleans up really nice. And here, just adding a few finishing touches with a chisel, just to really make that a real nice, smooth transition, so that head will kind of slide down there and get stuck right on. Right, so trying to make that taper line up too. So they're ready to get the head put back on it. I coat the wedge and the handle with boiled linseed oil prior to assembling it. If I told you this is how we do this, you might not believe me, but if you go back to your old physics book, you might understand why this works. But to seat the head on the handle, you actually hold it upside down like that and hit the handle with a mallet. And what I'm watching for is that the head is going to start putting up a little chip of wood, and that's how I know it's seating well. And that's where I'm going to call it good. Now that the head is on the handle, the wooden wedge needs to be tapped into the handle, and I use a block there to distribute the load of the hammer on the wedge. Otherwise, the wedge can split and kind of end up going in a bunch of different pieces. So this is one of those things where a little bit of a wedge provides a tremendous amount of force. So my opinion is this doesn't need to be whackety whacked super hard, but you just gotta get that wooden wedge in there so it's nice and tight. Okay, now now I'm just cutting off a little excess material at the top. I like to leave a little bit, roughly a 1/4 inch above the head of the axe or hatchet, but that's it. I'm just using a hacksaw, maybe a coping saw or bandsaw. There's some other options available. This is just what I had in my shop for doing this. But Relatively nice clean cut, sand it up, and then we'll be ready to tap the metal wedge into the top. This is what I mean by leaving a little bit above the head of the axe. Okay, so now the metal wedge gets driven into that, and I do it at a little bit of an angle. And in the last picture, you'll see like I probably went a little bit too far on the angle, but anyway, now I use a ball peen hammer and set the the other end of the handle on something firm, and then tap that metal wedge in. And I also like to get a drift and just set the metal wedge just a little bit deeper than the surface of the wood. And this is how that came out. That wedge kind of started twisting a little bit to go in line, and the handle material cracked a little bit. Not totally not totally surprising because this is all kind of old stuff, but you can still see how it really pushed the wood up on the front and back of that, and it's a tight fit. So I'm good with it. And just put a little boiled linseed oil over the top of it, and on the especially on the part where I had to shave off a little bit of wood, put some oil on that, and then I had already sharpened the hatchet head, so and that's all cleaned up and coated with a thin coat of oil, so it's all ready to go home. All right, I hope you enjoyed that video and hopefully learned something. Reminder, there is some additional information that I put together that you can download in PDF form. There's a link for that in the description of this video. And also, I sharpened an axe in the Thursday Night Grind episode 31. So you can either search for that video on my channel, and I will also put a link to that in the description of this. So thanks so much for being here. And always remember to subscribe and thumbs up. It costs you nothing and it helps me out. Cheers.